Now this is something I haven't shown to you before. This is one of the ways we follow statistical correlations. And here again, let me say that a correlation of 1-to-1 means that as A goes up, B goes up by the same amount. Or a -1 would be as A goes up, B goes down by the same amount. And we generally see a pretty good correlation between the CRB and WTI crude oil. And for example, notice here in this chart, the 100-day, this is about a 6-month moving average here, pretty consistently going back and forth either side of a 0.9. We figure any type of a correlation above a 0.7 or a -0.7 is pretty significant. And it says, take note, that's a pretty strong correlation. So the correlation here between WTI and crude oil is pretty strong, which is understandable since WTI makes up 23% of the CRB. Now, you can see here, and this is the last 200 days here we basically have graphed out, that the 30-day moving average really dropped down last spring, I should say. So did the 10-day even more. And then we broke lower here late summer. But other than that, we've pretty consistently through the spring and summer traded a strong correlation. Now on the corn, we see a little bit different, much weaker correlation here between the CRB and corn. So soybeans is where the strength is. Now soybeans does tend to be a little more of a leader of the grain complex, so that's good. But the correlation isn't quite as good for corn and wheat. In fact, it's been rather weak at times this summer, strengthening more of late. And you look at the 6-month correlation, it's actually near zero here, so on the corn. On looking at soybeans, I mentioned the 6-month correlation is running right here at, looks like about 76 or 70, yeah, about 74, 76, somewhere in that. Pretty good correlation between the CRB index and soybeans. You'll hear me talk about that a lot. Really weaker earlier in the year, and so we're making up for that, and we're starting to trend better with our correlations. That's something I've really noticed over much of September until this week. You'll notice the 10 days really dropped this week and started to come back yesterday or today. And then wheat, you see very similar to corn, some very weak correlations. In fact, even some negative correlations in here, which doesn't make logic sense. That just says that wheat has some of its own dynamics right now, being very oversupplied. This is a Chicago soft red winter wheat contract. Kansas City is similar.